Hello. Welcome to my channel. It's Salla from Card Times Ahead. Finally, in the first time in a long time, I'm living up to my name and making some cards. I found myself in a situation which often seems to be the worst nightmare for card makers, and I needed myself two masculine cards. Obviously, in a very different style. One is for an adult, but younger adult, and one is for retired person. So the age gap and the difference in the interests were kind of huge. But this is what I came up with. So here is the first card. Actually, I think this was a second card in the video, but anyway. And here is the second card, which was the first one on the video. This is the one I started up with. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, leave a kind comment below, and if you are not subscribed to my channel yet, consider doing so. I am not just a card maker, I am also a journaler, but I do all sorts of things here. There's room for everybody. But without further ado, let's get crafting these two lovely cards. For my first card, I'm using this card back from Simple Stories. It is called, just a second, Simple Vintage Lakeside. And I chose this card pattern that had some ducks on it. I'm making this for my dad, an older gentleman who enjoys nature. I thought this would be perfect for him. I got my matting layer, which was that craft cardstock and the dog picture. A little bit smaller than my card base. I'm making this A6 side. Oh my goodness, I can't talk today. A6 size card, which is about the same as American Standard A2. That is what I was trying to say. Then it was time for some die cutting. I recently got this scrap and meat die. I'm really pleased with the quality, by the way. I don't think they have been making dies for a long time. It's a Polish company. I actually cut the frame 2 times because I wanted to cut the inner oval off in separate, so that's what I did, just with some scissors. And then I took my brand new Scorched Timber ink, and the paper I was using for this layer was kind of flimsy, so it was super hard to ink. So I made a mess. I tried to cover it and made even bigger of a mess. So I flipped the paper upside down and inked the background instead. However, funny thing is, I ended up using the side that I think or thought that I had messed up completely. I inked all of the layers that I was going to put on the card. I just think that looks more cohesive. It brings a vintage vibe, and it also defines the layers a little bit more. Then I took my die cut sentiment, which says congrats, I had die cut it 3 times from white cardstock and then once from that light olive green. So I was just stacking them all on top of each other, like so. They're quite small. It's not an easy task, but I managed to do so. I'm doing this because it brings a little bit more depth to the design. It looks deeper. That's what I'm trying to say. Then I just took one of my bunches because they're quite heavy and used that as a paperweight while the sentiment layers dry. That background was quite pretty on this paper too. It was like butterflies, and I actually ended up using that side as a decoration inside my garden. But before we get ahead of ourselves here, I'm thinking about using, or first I was like, oh no, this is not the side I was supposed to use, and then I flipped it over and I was like, no, I don't like this new inked side either. But yes, I felt like the garden needed something more than that, so I just brought in some hemp twine. It's really thin. I love this stuff. It's also quite hairy. So outside the camera I trimmed off the sides of the card because it was hanging out a little bit. The fibers that come out from the twine. I secured it with some clear tape, as you can see here, but I also made sure to glue everything down so that if the tape fails, the glue is there to help. And if the glue fails, the tape is still there. There we go. Before I did the gluing, I made sure that even though I put the twines kind of like crisscrossing, I wanted to make sure that they were straight on the card front. Then I just stacked some more of my bunches on it. I often see people using their acrylic blocks, but I have some of my most used bunches on my table, so that is what I tend to grab. I took some mounting tape or sport tape, not sure what I should call it, thick foam tape, and I put it on the back of that white oval. Like I said, the paper was kind of flimsy and it wrinkled on me a little bit, so I just used that in my favor and maybe wrinkled it up just a little bit more. I realized that I hadn't inked the edges of my sentiment, and because I used white cardstock on the bottom layers, it was showing through a little bit more than I would like it to. So I decided to ink those and reapply the glue. My original plan was to add some prats to those holes on this brown tag, but it would have been a little bit different because those holes are right next to the edge, so it would have been nearly impossible to hide the legs of the prats. That is why I eventually came up with a different solution. But right here I'm just taking some 3D foam squares and adding them to the back of the tag. I've learned that if you press those foam squares down really well to the surface, it's way easier to remove the backing pieces from them. I decided to place the tag a little bit to the right rather than centering it. I was testing different positions and I felt like that was the best, at least to my eye. Let me know what you think. I took 2 of these Studio Katia. I still don't know how to pronounce that. Anyway, I took 2 of their gems in, I don't know what the color is, but it's goldish brown. And I put those to cover the holes. I think those actually suit quite well. Then I finished off the card with some inking with, again, the scorched timber, because the white was a little bit too much in my opinion. Inking is always just something I like to do. Here I'm trying to figure out which side of my extra scrap I'm going to use. I decided to use those butterflies like I mentioned earlier. So I inked that side, put some glue on the opposite side, and then just put the scrap down. That is probably the easiest way ever to decorate the inside of the card. And here is the finished result of my first card. It's simple, yet it has some details that are quite pleasing to the eye, in my opinion. And for the second card, I took this old paper pad from Studio Light. It is called... does it have a name? Not sure. It just says paper pad. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful, but it's really old. Once again, I started by inking up the edges with scorched timber. I'm using the Distress Oxide ink. I mainly, or actually all my Distress inks are oxide. I don't have the regular versions. The pages of the paper pad were kind of flimsy, so I packed this piece that I'm inking up right now, and also the fussy cut items that I'm going to layer on top of that with some white cardstock. It's just if the images are too flimsy and you use those foam squares or something, well, if you prop them up, there's always a possibility that they will kind of like sink in time. They aren't level anymore, so that's why I decided to pack them up. I wanted to bring some interest to my background. Here I'm just trimming off that edge because it was the side that was glued to the paper pad. This is from B13's Free Spirit collection. It was just a scrap I happened to have on hand, so that is what I used. Just cleaning up some glue that was squeezing where it's not supposed to be. And then my background was done. This piece that I'm using, like you can see, it has a screw on the background, but it's just printed on the paper. And I happen to have these Pratts that have also the really similar screws. So I decided to use one of them. So I covered the original papery one and just put one of those Pratt on top of it. I used my crocodile with the smaller hole to make a spot for the eyelet to go through. Then I took some more of those foam squares, and because I didn't want to make you watch me take them off, I did some magic off camera and then peeled the packings off, and now I'm pressing it to my card front. Now it's time to figure out my placement. This card kind of has two different sentiments. One says barbecue king, and the other one will say like congrats in Finnish. The congrats will be in Finnish. There you can see me fighting with the placement. My original idea was to place a brad and attach those tools together with the brad. But as I was poking a hole for the brad and trying it out, it didn't make sense to me at all. It didn't look good. I don't think it's showing on camera, but as I had the option to take it off still, that's what I did. I decided to start by gluing down the pieces that I knew for sure where they were going. And I knew that I wanted to glue the barbecue king text down straight, just like that background round piece that says premium barbecue quality. I'm not sure what that represents, but I thought it was fun. Just another layer. Then I took the tools or barbecue equipment, I'm not sure what to call it, and glued them on the grill or oh my goodness, this is not my main vocabulary, so I have no clue what to call these things. Well, it's all barbecue themed things, so there we go. This one I also propped up with those 3D foam squares. I was just trying to decide whether I wanted the tools, the metallic whatevers, to hang off the background rectangle or whether I want them to stay kind of like inside it. So I ended up going middle way. I didn't do either really. They're hanging out just a little bit. Then it was time to glue the card front to my card base. This is a 5x7 card, by the way. The matting layer was 6 3/4, and the pattern paper area is 6.5 by 4.5. Now I'm taking that sentiment. Again, I die cut it 4 of those layers or 4 pieces and layered them together to create this like faux chipboard piece. It looks nice, I think. It doesn't get so lost in the background, although it's a white text on a really dark, pretty much black background, so it probably wouldn't get lost, but I don't know, it just feels a little bit more luxurious or something. I don't know. Here I was really struggling with the placement of those jewels. I think I ended up going with pretty much the original plan that I had when I first placed them on. But I don't know, I just kept wiggling with them. And on the top left corner, everything pretty much went way more smoothly than in the corner. I am planning on making more card making content, although right now I'm taking part in the Junk Journal July UK, which is keeping me a little bit busy, but at least next month I will get back on track with this. So here is the final result on card 2. I hope you like it. Here is your final reminder to please give me a thumbs up, leave a kind comment down below, and maybe subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and bye bye!